I'm 26 now, and I still get anxious when people ask me to watch their kids, even family. What happened when I was 16 is the reason why. It wasn't even supposed to be a real babysitting job. It was more like a favor from my mom's coworker, Sandra, who was in a bind. Her regular sitter canceled last minute, and she had some work event she couldn't miss. Sandra had twin girls, Mia and Olivia, who were 7. I'd met them maybe twice before at company picnics, and they seemed fine. Quiet, polite, matching outfits, the whole twin thing. Before she left, she stopped at the door and turned back like she forgot something important. She said, "Oh, and if they tell you about their other sister, just go along with it. It's an imaginary friend thing they've been doing lately. Don't make a big deal out of it." The first hour was easy. The girls were watching some Disney movie in the living room and barely acknowledged me. I sat on the other couch scrolling through my phone, checking the time every so often. When it arrived, I called them to the kitchen, and they came in quietly, still not really talking to me. They sat next to each other and ate in perfect sync, like they'd choreographed it. Same bites, same sips of juice, same everything. I tried to make conversation and asked what movie they were watching. Mia, or maybe it was Olivia, I honestly couldn't tell them apart, said they weren't watching it anymore because Maya didn't like it. The other twin looked at me with this blank expression and said, "She's upstairs. You can ask her." Then they both went back to eating, like they hadn't just said something that made my stomach twist a little. Around 80 I told them it was almost bedtime and they needed to brush their teeth. They got up without arguing and walked upstairs together. I followed them up and waited in the hallway while they brushed their teeth in the bathroom. Their bedroom door was closed. I didn't remember closing it. When they finished in the bathroom, Olivia, I think, opened their bedroom door and both of them stopped in the doorway. Mia looked back at me and said, "Maya's already in bed." I looked past them into the room. There were 2 twin beds on opposite walls with a nightlight between them on a small table. Both beds were empty. But here's the thing that made my heart skip. They both got into the same bed, the one on the left. They squished together under the covers, leaving the right bed completely empty. I stood in the doorway and asked why they were both in one bed. Mia said, "That's Maya's bed. We can't sleep in it." The way she said it wasn't playful or giggly, like kids usually are with imaginary friends. She said it like I'd just suggested they sleep in a fire. I left the door cracked open like Sandra had mentioned and went back downstairs. I sat on the couch trying to watch TV, but I couldn't focus. I kept thinking about that empty bed and the way they talked about Maya like she was real. Around 9:15, I heard footsteps upstairs. Light, quick footsteps moving across the hallway. I muted the TV and listened. The footsteps stopped, then started again, this time going in the opposite direction. I got up and walked to the bottom of the stairs. "Girls, you're supposed to be asleep." No answer. The footsteps stopped completely. I forced myself to go back upstairs. I went upstairs and checked their room. Both of them were in the same bed, fast asleep, curled up facing each other. I stood there for a second, staring at the empty bed across from them. The covers looked slightly rumpled, like someone had been sitting on it. But 20 minutes later, I heard it again. Footsteps. This time they sounded heavier, more deliberate. I sat frozen on the couch, listening as they walked from one end of the hallway to the other, then back again. I forced myself to go back upstairs. I had to check on them. That was my job. When I got to their bedroom door, I stopped. The door was now completely closed. I had left it cracked. I know I did. I opened it slowly and looked inside. Both girls were still asleep in the same position. But the other bed, Maya's bed, the covers were pulled back like someone had just gotten out of it. The pillow had an indentation in it. I felt my hands start shaking. I walked over to that bed and touched the sheets. They were warm. I yanked my hand back like I'd touched a stove. I looked at the sleeping girls, then back at the bed. That's when I noticed something on the pillow. Long, dark hair. Several strands of it. The twins were blonde. I didn't wait to process it. I woke both girls up, probably rougher than I should have, and told them we were going downstairs. Mia started to cry and asked why. Olivia looked at the empty bed and then at me, and I swear to God she looked scared. Not confused, not annoyed. Scared. We went downstairs, and I turned every light on in the living room and kitchen. I sat between them on the couch, and we watched whatever cartoon was on. I didn't take my eyes off the stairs. Around 10:30, I heard footsteps upstairs again. The girls heard it too, because they both pressed closer to me. Mia whispered, "She's looking for us." The footsteps started coming down the stairs, slow, one step at a time. I could see the staircase from where we were sitting, but I couldn't see anyone on it. The footsteps continued, step after step, getting closer. When they reached the bottom, they stopped. The girls were both crying silently now, clutching my arms. We sat there in complete silence, staring at the empty staircase and foyer. Then I heard it. A voice. A child's voice, but wrong somehow. Too flat, too emotionless. It said, "Why did you wake them up? It's not morning yet." It came from the kitchen, behind us. I didn't turn around. I grabbed both girls and ran for the front door. I fumbled with the lock, finally got it open, and we ran outside into the driveway. I didn't stop until we were at the neighbor's house, banging on the door. The neighbor, an older man, opened up looking concerned. I barely got the words out, just said something was in the house and we needed help. He let us in and called the police. When Sandra finally called me back 10 minutes later, I was so rattled I could barely explain what happened. She came home immediately, arriving the same time as the police. They searched the whole house, every room, every closet, under every bed. Nothing. Sandra asked the girls what happened, and they both said Maya was mad that I woke them up during her playtime. The police looked at me like I was wasting their time. Sandra was polite, but clearly uncomfortable. She paid me cash and said thanks, but she'd found another sitter. About a year later, I ran into Sandra at the grocery store. She looked tired, older. When she saw me, she grabbed my arm and pulled me aside. She whispered, "We moved. I should have told you before I left you with them. We had a third daughter. She died when the twins were 4. They don't remember her, but I think she remembers them." Then she walked away before I could respond. I never babysat again after that night. Based on true events.